Hello and welcome. You're listening to Start Again with Shauna Lee, sponsored by Kit McKillop, Reiki Master and Intuitive Guide. This is the place where you will be reminded that it's never too late and you're never too old to do the damn thing. So stick around if you're ready to vibe higher and be inspired to chase your dreams. Together, we will uncover your soul's truest desires. Now, if you're ready, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I have a new guest for you to meet today. Jocelyn is the Fur Baby Pet Care owner and founder, and I am so excited for you to meet her and hear all about her journey to entrepreneurship. Jocelyn, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It is so nice to meet you, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into your story and hear about your journey. So I guess as a good starting point, if you'll just let everyone know who you are, where you're located, a little bit about your business, and then we'll jump into our questions.
Yeah, so I have Fur Baby Pet Care. We're a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week dog daycare facility in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. And we are staffed 24/7, which is unique to our city. So drop off and pickup times is any time of the day or night. And we also do grooming and training, and I'm a certified canine massage therapist, and we do in-home visits as well.
Amazing. You are a full stop shop
Yeah.
when it comes to taking care of those fur babies. I love it. I also love that you've used the words fur baby because that's how I refer to them. I think that's amazing.
That's where I came up with the name, right? Because we deal with pet parents. We don't deal with pet owners. We deal with pet parents.
Exactly. I love that. Well, so tell us a little bit about how you have embraced this idea of starting again.
Well, so in 2015, you good 20 years into my career in finance, um, there was a life-altering situation that happened to me, and it was I was raped in my own bedroom by
Oh my
one of
goodness.
my son's friends who was over, for a party that my son was having, and it rocked my world. It was a really really tough time. It was unbelievable. I was in my 40s, and you just kind of don't believe that that doesn't happen to someone in your 40s. I'm a mother.
Right.
It doesn't happen to mothers. Like you just all these not necessarily rational thoughts come into your head, but
Yeah.
it was hard. And what had really come from that is that I really started to question humanity and
Mm,
not trusting people. I was
yeah.
afraid to be alone with people. I was afraid to walk to my car. In my world of finance, I had met with clients anytime, day or night, weekends. I didn't think anything about, walking alone to a car in a dark parking lot. I kind of, I guess, felt I was invincible. Um, but that, smacked me in the face and told me different.
Yeah.
So, although I didn't have a fear of my clients, of course, um, I was so uneasy um, with getting to and from appointments. Also, for those in the industry, at least up here, is in Canada, it's a very male-dominated industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I was becoming even uncomfortable around my colleagues, and I just knew that something had to change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I, I can understand from hearing you tell your story how your sense of safety was rocked, right? It
Yeah.
was, and we know that as a foundation, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, safety and stability is the very bottom foundation. So when that is in question to us, yeah, it affects everything and how you maneuver through the world.
Yeah.
So how did you take that experience and how it affected you and make the decision that you needed to leave your corporate job, your world of finance, and start working with animals?
Well, the first thing I did was take a little bit of time off because I had to heal from
Mm-hmm.
some of the injury, um, and and then of course I pressed charges, and after going through that experience, I definitely know why a lot of people don't report it because
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you said, of course, you press charges when we know that so many people do
yeah,
not.
yeah, and that's after that experience, it just blew my mind what I had to continue to relive and go through, and um, but I, you know, wasn't going to let it go, and so it happened in July 2015, and fast forward to September of 2017 is when we
Oh,
finally
wow.
went to court. So
That's a long
I
time.
stayed. It is a long time. So I stayed in my corporate job until July of 2017, and at that point, you know, I had felt like I was kind of a walking zombie for those two years. I was just kind of faking the role, and I knew it was time for me to exit. I had a great senior partner. We sat down, talked about it, planned my leaving from the industry, and I felt like I needed from July to September to prepare myself to be able to take the stand.
Yeah.
And I don't know the rules or how the law works in the United States, but I found out in Canada that rape is actually a crime against the crown and not against a person.
Okay, so this is different in the United States. Help me understand what a crime against the crown means.
Okay, so a crime against the crown means that it's a crime against basically against the law. So it's not related to a person. And I am just a witness in that crime. So
Mm, wow.
although anybody who's been involved can say that they definitely are more than just a witness. However, that's the way the law
Correct.
is in Canada. So that was really hard for me to comprehend and accept. And
Yeah.
I needed the time to prepare to be able to sit in a courtroom and face this person and tell the story of everything that happened because, of course, they wanted everything in detail.
Yeah.
So I took off in July, took the time to try and mentally and emotionally prepare. Nothing can ever prepare you for it. Um, Court happened in September, and he was found not guilty. They,
Mm. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. I am so sorry to
they
hear that.
basically said it was consensual, which definitely wasn't. Um, so then that was that was tough. And what I
Hmm.
did is we had the right to appeal, but I didn't feel I could go through that exposure and
Again.
that rawness again. And I decided, no, it's been decided. I'm going to move on. One of the things that I wanted to, at least it's been out there so that if he ever decides to do that again, it will come back up in from his history. Um, we did learn that he actually had a pattern, but any of the other girls that we had talked to were, too afraid, and most of them were young, so they were too afraid to come out and do that. So, but well, at least if anything, I've got the first case down. So if he does decide to continue his pattern, or best case scenario, he's learned his lesson and don't do that. Um, Either way, I did my part.
That is
Um,
that is an amazing amount of bravery for you to come forward and withstand everything that it took for you to publicly share that experience. And you did that not only for yourself, but for those other girls who didn't have the courage to do that. And hopefully, like you said, there aren't future victims, but you paved the way for a lot of women. So that's really commendable.
Thank you. Thank you. So after that, that was in September. I needed time to grieve. And what I
Yeah.
did is, of course, with the support of my family. Yeah, my family was super supportive through the whole process. And what I did is I gave myself a date, and it was January 1st of 2018. And I said, between now and then, I have permission to grieve and do whatever I need to do to get through that process. But as of January 1st, I needed to, I always call it, put my big girl panties on and figure out what the next steps were.
I say the same thing, by the way.
So I did. I spent a lot of days where I didn't get out of bed, and I cried, and I was in a fetal position, because the incident happened, in my bedroom. We actually were sleeping in the living room, uh, and so I had to get comfortable with moving back to the bedroom within that time period as well. Um, just everything, and I had to figure out, what is that next step going to be? And I sat down with, what do I love? What do I love to do? That, just did a whole soul search.
Yeah.
And ever since I was a little girl, I loved animals, totally loved animals. I always knew I could never be a vet, though. The compassion fatigue would kill me.
Yeah.
The minute I had to put one down, I'd be done.
Yeah.
So respect to veterinarians. I just knew that was not going to be for me. And so what I did is I started just dog walking,
Oh.
doing dog walking or going into homes and doing pet sitting. I just put myself out there as someone to do that. And so I started January 1st with 0 clients, and just started getting one by one, and would take some daycare. Someone needed a dog taken care of during the day, so I bring them into my house to take care of them in my house. So, and by August, I had 2 other people that were doing casual work for me because I was so busy. I was working from sun up to sundown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fast forward a year, August of 2019, we went into a 9,000 square foot building with a 6,500 square foot yard.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a big, bold move, and I
Yeah,
didn't
it
know if I
is.
was ready for it, but the right building came along, and I had, my realtor is a friend of mine, and I told her my dream, and she went, I've got something for you. And I went, whoa, I didn't think I was ready
Whoa,
just yet.
whoa, whoa. I didn't mean right now.
But when it comes along, it's the opportunity, it's knocking. So forward we went.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, I hired 8 people, in addition to those 2 that were already, doing work. And we did renovations and opened up our 24-hour pet care. And
I love this story so much, not the heartbreak and the trauma, but what you did afterwards and how you started with something seemingly very small, like walking dogs, as a way to do something that you love and focus on something positive and that's, feeding your soul. And then this is what I think the universe does. It gives us a little tidbit and we take the one little step and then we think about what the next step might be. Like I would say most people don't venture out and know what step 10 is going to look like. Some people have an idea or a dream that big, but I think most of the time it happens the way you've described, which is I took one step and then I took another and then I took another. And yes, sometimes it is like, oh, hold on a second. Maybe I'm not quite ready for this next step, but you did it anyways. That's amazing. That's amazing. So
yes, thank you.
I see a lot of inspiration in your story, but I always think it's helpful to ask other people, when you look at your story and your journey, what inspires you most about it?
The biggest thing in the whole story is actually giving yourself permission to pause when you
Oh,
need it.
yes.
So many people just keep going on because they feel like they have to,
Mm-hmm.
and they push down the pain,
Mm-hmm.
and it always comes up. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to come up more ferocious and
100%.
bigger, bite you in the butt,
Yep.
um, right when you don't want it or expect it.
Yes.
So if you're struggling with something, take the time and give yourself that permission to pause, because you're going to be ready for the next opportunities when they come.
Yeah, I think that's so true. A lot of people just power through and try to ignore the pain or numb it in some way. But I like how you said, give yourself permission to pause. When I wrote about this phase in my book, I actually devoted the whole chapter to grief and to actually grieving the loss. I think we're talking about the same thing there, but it's just really giving yourself the permission to take a beat and to take a breath and to care for yourself in the way that you need to. And a lot of times that is just grieving, like you said. Yeah, that's very wise. Did you know I'm Reiki certified? My Reiki master and intuitive guide, Kit McKillop, is sponsoring this episode. While I am certain her intuition is spot on, don't simply take my word for it. Her gentle spirit will guide you along your path in a way that feels like home. She has opened registration for a new class offering called Claim Your Energy, which is designed to help empaths and highly sensitive people learn the basics of energetic exchange. Do you ever wonder why it can be overwhelming and feel draining to be in large groups of people? She will teach you easy tools and techniques to ground, center, and shield your energy in this course. Claim your energy with Kit at kitmckillop.com. Use promo code SimplyShauna to save 20%. Now let's get back to the show. So as you look back on your journey, I talk a lot on this podcast about the lessons we learn along the way, and we're all gaining wisdom and knowledge and blah, blah, blah. But I have found that in those lessons, there's usually a common theme. So if you were to look at yours, what do you think is the common theme in your lessons?
Just keep going.
That's good.
It's with if you look at my growth, we started with, like I said, the dog walking, and then added, more things, added things into the house, and then to get the building, and, you know, we've added service, and the other thing, which almost killed us was COVID.
Yes.
COVID came along, and there's of course pros and cons to everything, but when COVID came along, well, nobody needed us because they're all home taking care of their own
Yeah, yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, I know a lot of
And
people who got pets during COVID because they were home.
right.
Yes.
So that ended up being a pro for us because even when they started doing Zoom calls and Zoom meetings, they started going, okay, I need my dog to go somewhere so I can be on these meetings.
Yes.
So we ended up, getting the benefit of that. But there was, when, in March, when everything shut down here in Canada, um, we had nobody.
Yeah.
And so I had to lay off all my staff.
Oh, wow.
Which just broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because, I knew that this is their livelihood. And then I went from 24 hours to 12 hours because there was nobody needing us for 24 hours. But I still wanted to stay open the 12 hours because in Canada, we were still considered an essential service.
Mm.
And so even if only one dog came in, I wanted to be there for that one dog.
Yeah.
So I worked on other things while I was there, and we'd have one dog one day and no dogs the next, three dogs. It was just kind of so all manageable by one person. In May, it started to pick up, so I could start to hire on a couple staff. We started to offer grooming, and we started to offer training. So we started to pivot a little bit to make sure to find other opportunities. Because, as you mentioned, everybody got dogs. So guess what they need? They need training.
Yes. Yeah.
And
that's a really brilliant ability that you had to be able to pivot. I think that's the key differentiator for the businesses that made it during COVID and those that didn't. Your ability to say, okay, this is a shitty circumstance. What the hell do I do now? And be able to see that there still was a need and that there might be a different need moving forward. That's really incredible.
Again, just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Just
no kidding.
Going. And so, yeah, and it just continued to balloon and grow. And I, was hiring people back and hiring new people. And today we're at about 30 staff.
Wow.
That we need to run the business. Yeah. So it's grown a lot. We have a great reputation in Saskatoon, and we love what we're doing. It's, I have some great staff, and I just can't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love this story so much. So my next question is one of my favorites, and I'm a little hesitant to ask you, but here we are. So when you think back to the younger you, what advice would you give her?
Depends on how young we go.
Yes. That's up to you.
Yeah. So really, in my 20-year-old self, I would say, just keep going. You're doing it, like, and, I mean, we could be on this podcast for a long time if I told you about some of my early life experiences, but, it's like, yeah, we had some ups and downs there, but just keep going. You figure it out.
Yes.
And I had a great career. In my 30s, it was like, damn, best decade ever. I rocked the 30s. It was, great. We had great family experiences. My kids, that's their growing up decade kind of thing. And my job was, was doing great. I was, the money was not an issue. So we had a great thing. So again, in 30s, just enjoy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The 40s, hold on. because it was the year of, or not the year, the decade kind of crisis after crisis.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And um, again, just back to just keep going. It's
Yeah.
giving yourself the permission to get through it, but just keep going. It'll work itself out.
Yeah.
Of any like big wise things,
No,
I would just
I think that
I
is
would give her
wise.
a hug. I
Oh,
would just give her a hug
yeah. Yeah.
because you're gonna need it.
Yeah. I will say, when I ask this question to all of my podcast guests, um, all the different variations of wisdom that come out, it's just like I get fed during the answering of this question. But it is equally balanced between advice and just loving, nurturing that younger version, right? So it's interesting to see how many women answer it both ways, both just from a, oh my gosh, I just want to hug her. She's just going to need a little extra loving. One of my guests told me one time, the younger me wouldn't listen to advice, so I don't have advice for her, but I would just want to hold her. And I thought, well, that's true too.
That's yeah, that too. Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I could say that would have been me too. I
Yeah.
would have been like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. But it's one of my favorite questions to ask because it's so good. Um, well, okay. So when we shift gears from looking at the past and talking about the present, and then we look towards the future, what do you now believe is possible for your own life?
Oh, I believe anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whatever whatever you can see in your mind's eye is there.
Yes.
And um, there are no things to hold you back. They just are bridges to creating more opportunities. And I just feel that it's all in how you look at, it's all in the perception of how you look at any interaction in life. And if you look at it, and I was watching a program last night, and it was about two brothers, who grow up in the same household, have the same issues,
Yep.
and one took it and became famous and millionaire, and lived his life, was this amazing famous person. The other one, dead from drinking and driving and having a bad life.
Oh, wow.
They both had the same, they're both looking at the same thing,
Yeah.
but their perceptions were opposite.
Yeah. That's a really great example of what I always say. It's it's all about the story you're telling yourself about whatever the thing is you're looking at. It's all about the story. And, whether you're talking about, what do you want to do for a career, or if like one of the things I do is teach people how to date again after divorce. Like, it doesn't matter what the thing is, it's the story you're telling yourself about the thing that matters,
Mm-hmm.
which is the difference of those two sons in that story. Is the story one told themselves catapulted them into, publicity and what we think is success, and then the other didn't. And their stories were different, I tell you, about the same situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so this is not a question that I sent you in advance or that I've asked anyone else, but I think I would like to start asking this question. And that is, if someone came to you and said, I want to start a business, I, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know what I'm doing right now. I don't want to keep doing. What would you tell them?
Sit down, write a list of what you love, and nothing is out of bounds. So if you love pink, put that you love pink.
I do love
Because
pink, actually.
Yeah, because maybe pink something is going to be
Yep.
your new business. But whatever you love, you just write it down. And you don't even have to you don't do it in one sitting because your brain won't compute it all in one sitting.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
bring that notebook along with you in your purse. And then the next time you're like, oh, I actually like chocolate ice cream. Okay, I'm
Yes.
going to write down chocolate ice cream. I really find a lot of joy from coffee shops. Oh, okay, now maybe it's a coffee shop that, is in pink and offers chocolate ice cream, right? Like
Oh,
these
that
are all
sounds
things.
amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's just like pulling things out of my head,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But these are find the things you love that are going to give you power, that are going to give you energy.
Hmm.
So there's enough things out there in life that are going to suck your energy. Find the
Yes,
things that give you energy.
yes.
And when you have your own business, you can work, unfortunately, but you will find, especially in the early stages, you'll work 16-hour days. And yeah, they'll be long, but they don't seem as long because you're all energized because it's your baby, it's
Yes.
your business.
You know,
And
you're hitting on a really, really good point because I think that's one of the things that stops people from pursuing a dream is they're afraid of how much work it's going to take and how many hours they're going to have to put in. But if we could just show the difference about how it feels to work 16 hours a day at a job you hate versus 16 hours
oh,
at a career or business that you love, that fires you up, that energizes you, that feels different. And the 16
it's
hours doesn't feel like a lot at
yeah,
all.
I would say it's almost equivalent to 4 hours at a job you hate to 16 hours at a job you love.
Yeah,
It's been an equal amount of time
it's not.
because I personally can't imagine spending time doing something I hate.
Yeah.
I was fortunate, or I made the decisions throughout my life to always work somewhere I loved. So I had a pen pal in Chicago. She's like, "You're one of those crazy people that actually loves what they do." And I'm like, choices I made, right?
Yeah, it's not crazy at
You
all.
know,
It's crazy
when
that
when
more
I
people don't do it.
don't, that's what I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And so make your choices and go for those opportunities and live your dreams and find people to talk to. It's lonely at first.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is.
Find some mentors. Find some mentors. Reach out. Anybody who's done it before, they're more than happy to help give you guidance
That is
and
such a wise point that you just made because I was talking to a early stage entrepreneur one time and she was struggling with some aspect of her business. I don't even remember the details, but she needed to be able to move to the next stage and do something that she didn't know how to do. She didn't know how to jump over this hurdle. And she was coming to me as a confidant and I didn't know the answer to the question. And so I told her, and the reason I could give her this advice was because I knew I was doing the same thing. You have to ask somebody who's already done this thing how to do it. You can't ask just the people in your life. I use, my family and friends as my springboard often for, a new business idea or whatever. But I can't lean on them for guidance if they've never done the thing that I'm trying to do. And I think a lot of people forget about that. And so I think when it comes to choosing a mentor, you need to make sure that you're doing that in a way that you're finding someone who's already accomplished this thing. One, they're
yeah,
always willing to share their successes and how they did it to help somebody else. Um, but you need to know that their guidance is justified, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And if they don't have the answer, they will be able to point you in the right way.
Yes, it is true. Well, I am sure that some of my listeners in Canada are going to be near you and want to get in touch with you to have you help them with their fur babies. So how can people find you?
Well, our website is furbabysk.ca. We are also on Insta and TikTok and um, Twitter or whatever the X is now.
Yes.
And it's the @ furbabies for all of them. We have the same handle on all of them. And I'm more than happy to have anybody, send me a personal email. And that's just my name, JOCELYN @furbabies.ca.
Amazing. Well, I'll be sure to give all those links in the show notes. But thank you so, so much for spending time with me and for sharing your story. I know that it is one that is painful to share, and I know that it will be valuable for people who are listening.
Thank you.
Did you like this episode or did you love it? Inquiring minds want to know. The best way to support this show is to subscribe and leave a review. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.